Well, hi everyone, and welcome to season 10 of Behind Your Eyes. And in this second episode, the wonderful LJ is my guest. So, hi LJ, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey, Suzanne, thank you so much for having me today. Yep, I'm LJ, known as LJ the Medium. So I'm excited to be here and talk a little bit about healing with you today.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I always start with the same question, and that is a sincere, how are you doing?
You know what? I'm doing well. I'm actually, for the first time in a while, I could say that I'm in a good place. So I
Oh,
appreciate you asking that. So every day, I get up and I push myself, but I'm actually in a good place mentally and physically. It takes a lot of hard work every day, but I appreciate you asking. And can I ask how you are?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm at a steady, stable place, so that feels good.
Yes, it does, right?
And I get to do what I love. I get to talk to other inspiring people, so that's always a passion of mine.
Absolutely. Yeah. So good.
Yeah, thank you for asking. And I've read in your bio that you've had a tough childhood, that you've battled with anxiety and depression. And if you would, could you tell a bit more about that time in your life?
Absolutely. So it's been a battle. Anxiety's been something that I've dealt with since childhood, even until now.
Mm,
Good days and bad days. I was probably at a young age when I started feeling anxiety. Looking back, I could think of a couple of things. One was that I was an empath, so I felt so deeply what other people were feeling. So
mm,
being young and not even understanding or knowing what that meant, I would say that I constantly felt things. So if I was with someone who had like a stomach ache or someone who
mm,
had heart palpitations, like I would take on other people's symptoms and feelings, and that caused a lot of anxiety. And my mom would take me to the doctor,
mm,
and the doctor would say she's perfectly fine. It's just anxiety. I couldn't explain what I was feeling and why I was feeling it. And then as time went on, also, I grew up with a brother who does have schizophrenia. So he has
mm,
mental illness, and witnessing his journey. We have a big age gap between us. He's 8 years older than me.
mm,
So, I was 10 years old when he was going through, his mental health challenges at the age of 18. And to watch your loved one suffer, with schizophrenia, with mental illness, in and out of, psychiatric wards. And I would go visit, and he dealt with a lot. I think that also heightened my anxiety and my
mm,
depression to see a family member suffering so much and dealing with that. So
mm,
it was a big combination of things as a child. Definitely started therapy at a very young age,
mm,
learning to cope with anxiety. I went from being on medication to not being on medication for anxiety. And again, it's just been a whirlwind. It's just been an up and down journey when it comes to that. And then I had a spine injury in 2013. And that's kind of how life goes, right? You do really well for a while, and then
right.
something comes and hits you, and you do well for a while, something comes and hits you. So on the positive note, my brother's, medication stabilized, he's doing really well.
Mm,
He's deep into his 40s now.
mm,
So it's been a long journey. So I've seen him in good places and not good places.
mm,
And for myself, I've dealt with a lot. Had a spine injury in 2013, and anxiety and depression started to kick back in again. And I've had
mm.
16 surgeries over the course of the last 10 years.
Wow.
So with illness, with any trauma,
Mhm.
PTSD, it's been definitely a challenge, and every
Yeah.
day to stay mentally stable, physically stable and strong. So
Yeah.
it's something I've dealt with, I want to say almost my whole life. And sometimes
Mhm.
we realize we're experiencing
Yeah.
anxiety. So, and it's that's why they call it therapy and healing, because it's
Mm.
something, it doesn't go away overnight. It doesn't just, it's
Yeah.
something we have to work towards. So I'm proud to be in therapy. It's helped so much, and trying all different self healing, hypnosis, meditation. And that's kind of the part where I say in the beginning, becoming a medium, where going through all of these challenges and trauma actually awakened me and opened me up spiritually.
Mm. Yeah, as you said before we started this recording, we have quite a lot in common. I've dealt with anxiety most of my life, and I'm an empath as well, so I feel things very strongly. And after I sort of like overcame my phobia, I had an accident where I had to deal with PTSD as well. And I'm still in therapy and in coaching for that as well. And anxiety is still part of my life. And it's, yeah, like you said, it's like an up and down, and it's never really fully healed, if you can say. You live with, you learn to live with it. And you get these techniques and tools that you try out, and and especially when you're spiritually interested like that in things like self-healing and such, and you learn to live with it, and you get, but it never really goes fully away. So yeah, how did you start in your healing journey, because it was a lot that you had to deal with?
Oh, it was definitely a lot. From the young age, I would say therapy was definitely one of the big things, going to support groups, talking to other people, in terms of coping with my brother's situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I got older and dealt with, my own, accident and PTSD, I think a lot of it was sometimes we have to take a step back. I always think to
Mm-hmm.
myself, look at it that way. Sometimes when we're going through pain and trauma, we can't see clearly and we
Yeah.
can't see the light and, oh my God, is this ever going to end? Am I ever going to be out of pain? Am I ever not going to have anxiety when I'm driving? Or, I still deal with it,
Yeah.
and I want to say like the self healing really began by taking some like spiritual courses. Writing was huge, which I was able to write 2 books throughout all of this. So I do speak about my trauma and pain in my books, and I was
Mm-hmm.
able to write a memoir because I think we all have a story. And something I like to say to people is when you're going through something difficult,
Mm-hmm.
write it down, write your
Yeah.
emotions down. One, it's so healing. And two, to look back now and look at all my journals
Right.
and my writing to see how far I've come. Because when we're in it, like I said, we don't see it. But
Yeah.
if anyone started any healing, even today, and they marked what they were feeling and what they were going through, and they looked back in 3 months from now, and all they continued to do was do self healing and do the work, you could only make progress. So that's
Yeah.
why I feel like writing is important, just to document the journey and see that sometimes we feel like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going in circles. Am I getting better? Am I making a difference? But every little
Yeah.
thing we do counts. So definitely the journaling, reading books. I got into, taking Reiki healing to now giving Reiki
Mm-hmm.
as well, and listening to podcasts and watching episodes like yours, where every day I start off listening to something inspirational and
Mm-hmm.
hearing other people's story, to know that we're not alone on this journey. It could be very scary and it could be very lonely when we're
Yeah.
going healing, and not everybody could understand the pain and trauma that we've been through. Like, I'm sure your pain and trauma was different,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, we've dealt with this anxiety. So yeah, the self healing. I mean, it's definitely a journey. Every day is a
Mm-hmm.
work in progress, but I would say that's pretty much where it all began: reading and listening and studying and changing my mindset.
Mm. Yeah, and it has to start with awareness and like an openness to want to heal, because when you're in the midst of it, it can feel so overwhelming that even everyday life is like a survival, and then it can be hard to actually open yourself up for that help, right?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always say, okay, it starts with the awareness and then the openness and willingness to start to heal, because it can be quite a sensitive place to be in, like, okay, I need help. Will
Mhm.
you help me? Like that can be quite a scary position to be in.
It is. I totally agree with you on that in terms of wanting to heal and
Mhm.
wanting to be better. Especially going through, my own journey. I don't want to live in pain. I know none of us do, but it's like
Mhm.
I want to live in pain. I have chronic illness, I have chronic pain. And sometimes it's like I don't want to accept that. I
Yeah.
want better and I want more.
Mhm.
And something that I had seen on your website, that I love, that resonated with me, that healing starts on the inside.
Yeah.
And I really do believe you have to want better for yourself, because a lot of times we could just say, I want this, I want that, but you have to do the work.
Yeah.
And something that a lot of people, let's face it, healing
Mhm.
is hard. And
Yeah.
happens when something is hard, we want to avoid it, right? Nobody
Yeah.
wants to feel uncomfortable. Nobody wants to feel anxious and anxiety.
Yeah.
One anxiety that I deal with is driving
Hmm.
long, for a certain amount of distance, and my heart palpitates. I have panic attacks. Haven't been on the parkway in years, working through it.
Yeah.
But now I get behind the wheel. Even if I have to go 2 minutes, even if I have to go 5 minutes, it's uncomfortable and it causes anxiety. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I do it. I have like a little post-it in my car, and I just give this as a little example because we all have certain anxieties or these little things that
Yeah.
we want to do or we want to avoid. And I have a little note in my car, like that
Hmm.
says "Universe has your back. I got the pedal." It
Yeah.
says, and it's just a little post-it that when I get behind the wheel, it puts a little smile on my face. And even if I get 2 minutes and 5 minutes, I get to where I need to be ultimately.
Right.
Even if I'm sweating and my heart's racing and all of this fear. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, doing something that makes us uncomfortable is
Hmm.
helping us heal. So
Right.
every time I'm getting behind that wheel, and I didn't drive for years, so if you don't do something for years, it causes anxiety and fear.
Yeah.
But every day we do it and we push ourselves to do it. And I think that's one of the hardest parts is living or going through something that makes us uncomfortable and gives us
Hmm.
anxiety. I think it's a matter of how we use our anxiety. We can
Yeah.
let the anxious feeling keep us back, or we can let that anxiety, no, I'm going to get behind the wheel today and I'm going to get to where I need to be, and you can let it drive us as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like that was for me the case when I was going through anxiety and the phobia. There was this, it's almost like a switch happened in my mind. Like I was dealing with it already for so long, for years, and there was like this moment of like desperation, like I can't do this anymore. Like I can't live like this anymore. And then like I said, that switch went on, and I was like, okay, yeah, I need to get out of this. I can't live like that. I'm young. I was in my early 20s, and was like, yeah, I can't live like this anymore. I only see the inside of my room. There's more to life than just my room and my bedroom. And so yeah, that's when like the desperation was so big that I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. Now I really need help. So
Mhm.
yeah, that switch went on, and then the healing began.
Right. And it started off with probably a little bit outside of your room, and that's progress, right? A little bit
Exactly.
further each
Yeah.
step. But you
Yeah.
wanted it. I think that's important for people who listen. It's like you have to want it and just take that one step, like
Yeah.
that teeny step. And
Yeah.
every little teeny step adds up.
Yeah, yeah, because people say, well, oh, it's just one step that I took. Well, one step can lead to 10 steps, and 10 steps can lead to 100 steps. And before you know it, you're along that healing journey for far further than you ever thought you could.
Yes.
So it all starts with one step. And literally for me, because when I went to my garden, even that was already scary. Then I went to the end of the street and I had a panic attack and I went back. And so, yeah, it's literally one step at a time. And it's okay if you take one step and then another step back, because that's healing as well. It's like up
It's
and down.
healing. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
healing. I talk about my car example, and I know that, well, you know what, even if I get down the street or I get 2 blocks, pull over. We could always,
Right.
as long as we're not stopping, as long as we try. So I will try
Exactly.
today and see how far I get. And I didn't get to the parkway yet, but that is on my list. But it's even if I go a block, 2 blocks,
Yeah.
2 steps, as long as you keep trying and keep
Yeah.
moving forward, that's
Yeah.
healing. Now every day you can say, oh, I went further than I was before. I couldn't even get in the car. Now I can
Yeah.
get in the car now. And every day it's a little bit, it takes a long time, I
Yeah.
believe, point A to point B, but there's always these little stops that we can make.
Yeah.
And but it's better than where we were.
Yeah. It's better to try than stay still or stand still. That's
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I love the quote that you sent me in your bio. It says, we learn to eat right and exercise, but we don't often talk about mental health challenges. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. So what do you think needs to change? Is that like in our education, or where does it start?
I do believe, yes, 100% in education, because we can look at somebody and not know what they're going through. And I think compassion needs to be taught. I think empathy needs to be taught at a young age. I think it needs to be, I think that stigma of, don't talk about it. No, we need to talk about it. We need to
Yeah.
share what anxiety is and what's causing anxiety. I used to have anxiety in school, and tests used to make me so sick. I mean, it
Yeah.
all starts from a young age. It's all behavior. And I really do feel, yeah, I think education will be a good part of it, implementing meditation or some kind of therapy or some kind of talk in school,
Yeah.
just like at gym. um and it's been difficult, and I think it's really important, it's sad and it's heartbreaking to see these days, so much bullying going on, and it's just very different, and it's hard because growing up, it's you, we're taught, oh, be nice to the other kids, but we're not taught to like believe in or know that mental health is real. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people, for example, yeah, I'm in my 30s, but people see me, and just because I have my makeup on, my hair dyed, I put on a sweater today, people think there's nothing wrong. And it could
Right.
be chronic pain, it could be chronic illness, it could be anxiety, something that we don't see. And
Right.
it is an invisible illness, unless, yes, there are people who maybe do carry it differently, but the mind is powerful, and I think we're not educated about it. And I think that's the best way to put it, and
Yeah.
not to judge people, that everyone is going through something, whether they show it or not. And it's a
Exactly.
lot of
Yeah.
people suffer in silence, and I think that's where a lot of mental health and suicide and a lot of things come into play.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think we need to learn coping mechanisms, and really to be nice to people. I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
simple. Just be nice, have compassion. You don't know what someone's going through.
Yeah.
And I think we need to let go of, we really need to let go of judgment.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I think we should start young, start at the young age when kids just come to school and learn to, share your toys and be kind to each other. Like you said, it can be just the smallest things like smile at someone or, like be kind. Yeah, kindness isn't that hard. Kindness is free.
Yeah, because everybody's going through things at home. And, the
Yeah,
only reason why I had a little awareness of mental health growing up was because I had seen what my
right.
brother was going through. We all knew, something wasn't right and something was wrong.
Yeah,
So I had to grow up early or mature early,
yeah.
and because I had seen it. But if we don't
Hmm.
see it or know someone who's struggling with mental health,
Hmm. Yeah,
not aware of it.
yeah, yeah, that's true. And you've also mentioned in your bio to me that, your trauma has awakened you and that now that your trauma actually teaches others. So I would love to know what is at the core of what you teach others.
I really feel that I teach others between, my life coaching and, my sessions, and being a psychic medium as well, and connecting with people on a spiritual level. I
Mhm.
really want to teach people, and what I feel like I teach people is to make the most of what they have, to live life to the fullest. And that goes back into, personal training, sports nutrition, feeding your body, with
Mhm.
nourishing foods, feeding your mind with positive thoughts, feeding your soul with things that,
Mhm.
make you feel good and feel happy. And I think that's what it comes down to, is feeling whole, feeling balanced, right? Because
Mhm.
I feel like in this life, a lot of things are material, or we need to buy this to feel good, and we need this and we need that. And we look at other people in society and what they have. And I think it's really about, the message I try and give is being happy with what you are and having gratitude for who you are and what you have.
Mhm.
Because we don't realize, what we wake up and what we have and what we don't have sometimes.
Mhm.
And, you don't realize it until it's too late. So, like, for example, just a quick example, I wasn't able to walk for a couple of years due to my spine injury. And now I can. So it's like those little things that you give gratitude for that you don't think about in the morning, getting up, putting your clothes on, taking a shower by yourself, tying your shoes. Like, these are things that we just go through the motion every day. So I
Yeah.
think it's really important to be present, feel gratitude for everything that you could do, and not to waste time. Because I feel like I've been sick and have had a lot of health issues through the years. You don't want to miss out on time, and then you feel like you're playing catch up. So I always say
Right.
to people, do what makes you happy now, right? People always say, I'll
Yeah.
travel there later and I'll go get that other job sometime. Like,
Yeah.
we have the opportunity to change our life now. We have the opportunity to live happy in our best life now. And it might not be perfect. We might deal with it with anxiety and bad days and
Mhm.
fatigue and stress. but it's important that we live life to the fullest, and that's a big message that I give with my clients.
Mm. But I also feel that a lot more people are actually like awakening and like discovering their connection to spirit. And do you feel like a shift in consciousness?
I really do. And I believe that because a lot of people that I talk to that are awakened, because I feel like-minded people connect with like-minded people. So we're
Mhm.
connected today because we have something in common, right? We're all trying to heal. And anyone that I've spoken to that has gone through awakening or is going through awakening has experienced some kind of trauma or some kind of pain that came and shook them up. And I
Right.
feel like when life comes and shakes you up, it's like it shakes you because it's trying to wake you up. In the morning, your
Mhm.
mom used to come and shake you and be like, come on, you gotta get up, you gotta get up. And it's because you have to start something, you have to do something new. So
Yeah.
I definitely feel this shift. I definitely feel through my pain, my trauma, my anxiety, that it has opened my eyes, it has made me more aware. And I say I see more, but I also see things clairvoyantly. I see things, within people. And I feel that I feel it happens to a lot of people, but in their own time and in their own journey.
Mm.
But I
Yeah.
do think we all have the power to, whether you want to call it intuitive. I believe we all
Right.
have this intuition. I believe we all have, it's just whether or not we're open to it.
Right.
But I
Yeah,
also
because yeah, that was my next question because I was thinking like I think like you said to some level we're all like psychically gifted or at least have a greatly developed intuition if you're open to it. So what is your view on that?
I believe that we are all intuitive. I think it's a matter of who really takes the time to tune into that feeling. A
Hmm.
lot of times people go, how do you receive certain information? And to be honest, you need a quiet mind. You really
Hmm.
need to. It's not that you have to sit in meditation for 5 hours at a day, but you need to not have a scattered brain, right? If you have a
Right.
million things on your brain, what's going to happen? You're going to forget that you had to pick something up at the grocery store. You were supposed to turn left at the next light. When our mind is full, we can't think of anything else. We don't have time or the consciousness to connect. So I
Hmm.
always say to people, we all have it. It's a matter of quieting your mind, whether it's sitting in a quiet space, really focusing on what you want, what you need answers to, and taking the time to connect with yourself.
Hmm.
And the best way I describe it is if you've ever been driving and you hear that little voice in your head and it says to you, turn left, and you end up turning right, you didn't listen to it. And then
Hmm.
you go, oh my God, I should have turned left. Our voice, there's always a little voice talking to us. There's always something trying to grab our attention and trying to guide us. And if
Hmm.
we take a step back and not always be in a hurry and thinking about the next move and trying to think about the future, because that's really anxiety, right? It's
Right.
we're always thinking what's going to happen or what already happened. We're not
Yeah.
present. But I think the more we all try and just be present and be here and
Hmm.
actually listen to people and focus on energy, on what we want, I think we could all tune in. And I think signs from the universe all just will start slamming us. How many times we get signs. I just think we just have to quiet our mind and really
Hmm.
be in the moment to receive it. And it's a gift for everybody.
Yeah. And you mentioned, yeah, we all have that little voice in our head. How do you discern that one voice that is the ego from your intuition?
So one, I feel that it's what that little voice is trying to tell me, because a lot of times I know that we all want to see good things happen for us. We all want to receive good news. And sometimes when it's about you, it's too personal, right? That's why I feel like I can read other people. When it comes to me, sometimes it's like, am I seeing it and feeling it because I want it? Or because this is actually what's meant for me and coming my way?
Right. Yeah.
So the best way I could describe it too, as I said, if it feels right to you, it probably is. If it doesn't feel right for you, it probably isn't. So
Hmm.
that's just a little hint that I give to other people too when they're tuning in with their intuition. If something feels good for you and feels positive for you, then go with that instinct. Go with that
Right.
feeling. If
Hmm.
someone's like, "I take the job, but it doesn't feel right," and if it doesn't feel right, maybe it isn't for you, and maybe that's that gut feeling.
Yeah.
And it's important to be aware to our senses. So sometimes we might feel something, sometimes we may see something, sometimes we might hear something. So it's being aware of our senses and what you feel strongly pulled to and what
Hmm.
really resonates with you. So again, I always go with the good feelings, right? We want to build on that good, on that drive. So I try and separate it by trying to focus on the positive messages and the positive feelings that I'm getting and the positive signs. Because I think when we think about good or we focus on something, that's what we're going to attract. That's what's going to come back to us.
Yeah. It's the same, I think, with like synchronicities and signs. When you focus on something, we tend to think like, oh, wait, there I see a sign. But is it really a sign, or is it just because I'm focused on it and want to see it? So that's also a bit difficult sometimes, because our skeptic minds or even our egos want to say, oh, it's just a coincidence.
Exactly, right? And it's funny because I do a vision board workshop every year. And everything that I put on my vision board, and this goes for people even that attend my workshops to go, oh my God, things that I put on my vision board started happening. Well, because that's what's in your vision and that's what's in your mind. And that's why we say the mind is so powerful, because we're putting this in there. We're putting that little, those little things on our list that we want. So our mind, that's where our focus is. And that's part of also the mental health and the anxiety, and all of it ties in, because it's where do you want your mind to focus on? So if that's something, if you keep seeing something or you keep getting that sign, as long as it's positive, I think filling your life with that. Keep letting those signs come. Keep seeing it, So sometimes I agree, it's hard to discern the difference, but I say if it's all positive, because if we put our mind and think on the negative, what's going to happen? If I woke up and was like, oh, today's going to be a crappy day, it will be. Right. So I think that's what's important. And it's what you put out there and what you focus on, and where attention, energy goes, where energy flows, where attention goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and to me it's interesting because we're quite a mind-focused society and we have a very strong mindset. But when it comes to things like this, like the sign synchronicities or connecting with spirit, society tends to be a bit more skeptic and like, okay, our minds, our minds are so strong. How is then that hard to accept and embrace,
And you know what it is? I think it's doubt. We doubt ourselves a lot. We doubt our possibility to be an amazing manifester. We doubt our ability to be powerful. We doubt our ability that we're capable of anything, because we're not taught that, right? We're taught it's going to be hard and you have to work hard and it's not going to be easy. We always hear all those other kind of adjectives, but we are powerful. And I think what's scary is that sometimes how powerful we actually can be, what we actually can achieve. And I think that's scary, and that could be fearful and give us anxiety, but we are powerful, and the mind is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's like you said, I think like society is afraid to embrace that, because what will happen when, oh my gosh, we actually are great manifestors and we can have everything we want. Yeah. And when did you discover like your gifts as a medium?
So definitely from when I was a child, but back then, and having a brother who was schizophrenic and knowing that he was hearing and seeing things that were not positive, it was something that I shut down, because I didn't know. All I knew was that I was getting little images and little voices, and I was very fearful. So I had shut that down as a kid, but definitely knew that from younger. Always felt presences with me, always felt, if you want to call them synchronicities. But when you're a kid, what are your parents going to say? Oh, it's just a coincidence, right? Everything's a coincidence. And I still have a journal till this day from when I was younger, and it says, I used to write things in my diary, and it would say, P.S. I think I'm psychic. P.S. I think I have ES. And I used to write that because I knew things about people that I went to school with, or I knew if someone was going to pass away. So it was definitely interesting looking back on that now. Definitely younger, but it was something I shut down. It wasn't common the way it is now. Now it's much more mainstream. A lot of people are intuitive and spiritual. But really it opened up again in 2013 after the trauma that I had. But I would say it's something that I was born with, and something that also runs in my family. I know my mother and my father have abilities, my grandmother. So I do feel it's something that has been passed down for sure.
And do you do readings as well?
I do one-on-one readings, whether it's in person or on the phone. I also do I'm in New York, but I do readings, like I said, on Zoom. I travel a lot. And in Long Island, I love to do gallery readings. So whether it's at a restaurant, I do a lot of fundraisers, and it's nice because I also get to give back. So I do a lot of fundraising and raise money through my events, and use the platform for positive outcome and raising awareness for causes.
That's wonderful. Yeah,
I'm everywhere. I love to do everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I see your passion and your drive. I love it so much.
Thank you, likewise.
Thank you. And you've written a book as well. And you said, think like a medium, act like a warrior. And you said that your favorite term or title for yourself is a warrior. So I would love to know, what does that word encompass or mean to you?
Oh, that's beautiful. So yeah, I wrote that book and it talked a lot about my journey from, trauma, PTSD to healing and having these beautiful abilities to connect with spirit. And being a warrior, I feel like had I not gone through what I went through, I probably wouldn't have had the appreciation that I do have now for life, right? Because we always go
Right.
through emotions, and looking back now, especially after my spine injury, there's so much that I'm unable to do, and I wish I would have lived more. So I like to give people that, do what you can while you can right
Mhm.
now. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And being a warrior to me is, being strong, being unstoppable, no matter what tries to bring you down, that you keep getting back up. And that's pretty much been the motto of my life. I get knocked down, I get back up, I get knocked down, I get back up.
Mhm.
And I think it's about being unstoppable and fighting and going after your dreams, because you give them one life. You might have,
Right.
I feel like I've given multiple chances, but I feel like we've been given now and the gift of time.
Mhm.
And I really feel like no matter what comes to, what life tries to throw at you, to just keep going and get back up stronger. So we could get knocked down. I think it's a
Mhm.
matter of getting back up, right?
Right.
We can throw in the towel. That's easy. But I
Yeah.
think the hardest part is doing that and accomplishing your goals and coming back stronger. I always like to use the term LJ 2.0. So me, I, I was this one version of myself, and here I am, a new version of myself. And I
Mhm.
think we're all warriors, because every day we got to get up and we gotta battle, right? It's
Yeah.
not easy, not an easy life for anybody. I don't know anyone who has it easy.
Right.
Um, and that's where my book comes into, where I share about my journey. But no matter how much pain I've endured, I've found my purpose. I found my passion, my dream. I've built a business. I've written 2 books. I had a TV show. So none of that's to brag. It's to say that life can keep throwing you
Yeah.
curveballs,
Right.
but getting back up and being the best version of yourself and saying, take that, like every morning, oh, don't give in to what
Right.
tries.
Awesome. Well, my last question is also always the same, and that is, when are you at your happiest?
When am I at my happiest? I'm at my happiest when I am healthy. And I think
Mhm.
health is really important, especially that's something that I battle with. And yeah, I would say when I'm healthy, mentally, physically, like I said, I'm in a good place right now. I'm happy. But
Mhm.
most of all, when I'm surrounded by my family,
Mhm.
and I'm happy being on the couch with my husband, watching a movie. I got 2 fur babies, and I'm just taking in, saying, you know what, I'm here. I'm in the moment. I've been given this, I have a roof over my head. I had a healthy dinner, like just being in a good place. And that to
Mhm.
me is being with family, being healthy, knowing that, okay, I get to wake up, I get to help people. So it's feeling whole. So it's
Mhm.
when I get to work, but also stop working and get to be with my family,
Yeah.
stop putting my family to the side so I can make nutritious food, exercise. It's doing what I get to do. Just having the
Mhm.
gift of time, and how I use that time is truly what makes me happy. And I'm happy right now sharing my story with you, Suzanne, and
Thank you.
giving hope and inspiration to other people that might be dealing with anxiety or feeling lost or being in pain, and knowing that there's so many possibilities out in the world.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. It was truly inspirational to talk to you, really.
Likewise, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.